Welcome to StackBid.com. This is the first video of our video series, and what we're basically going to do on these video series is go through our blog posts. So the first one we're going to do is the support and resistance, but this is going to be how you find it. So you go to StackBid.com, and if you type in /blog, that will actually pull up our blog post, and this is actually the one that I'm going to go over today. So how do you calculate support and resistance levels for stocks? So as you can see on here, this says support and resistance form the foundation of all technical analysis. So pretty much what this basically means is that a lot of traders go off of support and resistance of stocks. So now you may ask, hey, what actually is support and resistance? Let's start with support. Support is any point where a falling stock price meets enough buyers to arrest the fall. You may be saying, I don't exactly know what that means. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and go over it. So the reason we're actually doing a video series is there are some people that learn via reading and there's some visual learners. So what this is kind of doing is that it's allowing us to reach to multiple customers, multiple different type of customers that, may want to learn visually, whereas other people may want to learn through reading and seeing our charts. What we're going to do is we're just going to go a little over examples of what support is. And like I said, it is any point where a falling stock price meets enough buyers to arrest the fall. Let's go ahead and go into some examples here of some support. So as you can see here, we're at this $38 mark, and this is going to be your support. So initially it bounces off of that 40. It bounces off of the 40 again. So what this is it's having enough buyers to push this off of the support line and just really pushing it up towards that next resistance. So we'll talk about resistance a little later, but we'll continue on the support. So support here, support here, support here, support here. There's multiple supports. So pretty much what support is even if you think of the word support, what does support mean? Support means bear all or part of the weight, essentially holding up. So whenever you think of support, that is what you think of. So it plays perfectly into what it means in the stock market, is essentially this line is holding up the buyers from the sellers. We moved from a 40 support line all the way up to a 90. So is this normal among support? Whenever you're finding support, should you expect a 200% or 150% move? Absolutely not. All this is showing is that this pressure right here that the buyers were putting on this, $38, $40 mark, it really showed that this line right here had the ability to hold up the stock from going below. So let's go over a little bit more examples of what support is. Let's see here. So if we go to TTNP, which is actually in the blog post itself, we already have the line drawn here. And as you can see, we hit the line once right there, hit the line twice, 3 times, 4 times, and then it shot up to $2, right? So as you can see, here is, again, those buyers are really forcing those sellers to kind of rethink selling the stock, because once it approaches this support line, we see a tendency to bounce. So as you can see here, this one bounced off of the support line. This one bounces off of the support line, and it goes again and again. So the support, again, is just kind of holding up a stock that is falling. And so I don't want to beat a dead horse, but let's just go ahead and do one more example. That way we can all be on the same page and learn something here today. PLCE. So on here, as you can see, we are at the $85 mark. That is the support. So 1, 2, this is holding the stock up. So once you see that, it goes here, so 85 all the way to almost 100, comes back down, 85, almost back up to 100, 85, and it bounces. So pretty much, as you can see here, I don't want to beat a dead horse again, like I said, but this is a support line where the stock is being held up and where the buyers are overthrowing the sellers and keeping that stock above that $85 price. Now we're going to go ahead and go over resistance, and this is going to be any point where a rising stock price meets enough sellers to stop the rising stock price. So what this is essentially it's the complete opposite of support. So instead of holding a falling stock price up, it is pushing a rising stock price down. So on here on the blog post you can see this is a chart that we show, just really solidifying that, you know, the resistance. What is resistance? Resistance is the refusal to accept or comply with something. That is a big thing there, is the refusal to accept. So as you can see here with the 3 arrows, this is the sellers refusing to accept the buyers to go over that $30 mark. So let's go ahead and go into our account here and kind of show you a few examples of what we're talking about as far as resistance goes. Let's pull up, let's see, this is a good one here to show, that way you can fully get the explanation of what resistance is. All right, so as you can see up here, we have TJX, and it is hitting the resistance there, hitting another resistance there, and what this is doing is the sellers are refusing to accept the buyers to push it past this line. Here we go again, right here, right here, right here. Don't mean to beat a dead horse, but on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th time, it refused to break and it hit all the way down to 45. So that's a big percentage move when buyers cannot break past that resistance line. So the resistance is a line where the sellers take control over the buyers and push the stock price down. So again, to reiterate, it is a rising stock price that is being pushed down by the sellers. Let's go ahead and go into another example. All right, so VCRA, as you can see here, we have the big kind of 40, 42.5 line. This again is where a rising stock price, as you can see with this rising stock movement, this is where sellers took over the buyers and pushed it back down. So this is a big move from 42.5 all the way to 35. Then it goes way back up to that 42.5 where the sellers again pushed that price back down, and then did it one more time. And as you can see here, this is where the buyers really don't feel comfortable with trying to push this stock over that $42 mark, and it really tanked after 3 days after seeing that it couldn't break that point. So just to reiterate, the resistance is a line that stops a rising stock price, which sellers overthrow the buyers and the buyers can't break past that line. All right, so now that we went over support and resistance, what I want to show you is something that can happen whenever a support or resistance line is broken. So as you can see here, this right here, I'm going to give you, let's say, 5 seconds to illustrate what this line that I just drew is. All right, so if you guessed it, it is the resistance. So as you can see here, the rising stock price going from $10 all the way to $30. This is where the sellers overthrow the buyers, and then it breaks back down. So now this is your resistance line because it couldn't break past. So now it went back up to that $30 mark, and then the sellers did it again. And then it's another battle a few more times, then it breaks down back to that 20. So it goes again and again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is going to be the 5th time it tried to break that resistance, and on the 6th it actually broke through. So this means that the sellers tried to overthrow the buyers and couldn't. So once that happened, the buyers overthrew the sellers, and it actually broke through that $30 mark and ran all the way up to 38. So what this shows is an example of your resistance line, which is this one, which we just went over, turning into your support line. So now, since it did break through this line right here, the $30 mark, what we expect to see is a support line come form here. And so let me give you some examples of these companies that have broken through that resistance line, and that resistance line turned into a support line. So as you can see here, it's not exactly to a T, but it is kind of illustrating that resistance lines. Here's your resistance, 1, 2, 3, 4. Once it hit that 4th, sellers beat the buyers, and the buyers didn't get comfortable, so it dropped all the way back down. But as you can see here in October or November, it broke through. Once it broke through, there was a big follow through. Buyers kept buying, and then after a few days, it bounced off of that newly formed support line, which was your resistance. So we went over support, we went over resistance, we went over support turning into resistance, and went through resistance turning into support. So what our plan is we will actually do a trading strategy, what you can use with these trading strategies with support and resistance lines. We'll actually record that and put that in next week's video. We will be uploading every week. This week we did the how to calculate support and resistance. Next week we'll do a trading strategy with this video. And so if you guys enjoyed, please leave a like, please subscribe. There will be weekly videos. And just remember, here at Stacked Bid, we truly believe that the next brilliant trader is you.